Hey guys, so we are in Unit 6 and we're talking about fertilization and pest management in that unit. So, first of all, we're talking about types of pests. Now, when you hear the word pests, you're probably thinking of what? A bug, right? Um, Bugs are one of the number one types of pests, but there are other things, and we're going to talk about those as well, like a weed. That's a pest. Really, anything that's going to take away from what you're trying to grow is a pest. So you've probably heard of insecticide, and that's a chemical designed to kill insects. Okay, think of like wasp spray or ant spray, some ant poison. That's an insecticide. Okay, that is to kill insects. Insects aren't the only pest. There's weeds, which a weed is basically just an unwanted plant. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a sticker or like a kookaburra or something like that. A weed is just something that's unwanted. So if you're growing corn and you've got a soybean popping up, that's a weed. It's an unwanted plant. So it can cause problems because they're taking away those good nutrients and soil from the plants you're trying to grow. So there are herbicides, and those are used to kill weeds like Roundup. Both insecticides and herbicides are pesticides, which is the big category. So you have like pesticides, and then it splits in insecticides and herbicides. Pesticides is just chemicals designed to kill pests. So other types of wildlife can be pests as well. Anything, again, that's taking away from what you're trying to grow. So deer, they can be pesticides if they're eating your crops. Rabbits, I know I have terrible trouble with this in my garden. Rabbits eating all of my leafy greens that I'm trying to grow. So those are all pests. And there are some things you can put out, like sprays to deter wildlife pests, but mainly that's going to be done by like fencing and managing other ways. So insect pests, right there, they've got a ladybug. Really, ladybugs aren't a pest. They are really good. So they eat a lot of the bad insects. So they're a great way to, without chemicals, get rid of pests. So what should you do if you see signs of damage? You're just gonna have to figure out what is causing that. So you might have to look it up. There's lots of ways now. I've mentioned this before. Google has a camera lens. If you've got the Google app, you can click that and you could look up that bug or insect, and Google will tell you what that is. And then from there, you can go and figure out what pesticide is going to do best for that pest. Okay, because they've designed these where they're going to attack those certain pests. So some common garden ones are beetles and weevils. So they can pose a risk in the larval stage or adult stage. Not all of them are bad. Like ladybugs, they're really great. They're a beetle. They're really great for pests. They eat aphids. Aphids are terrible for plants. They take all of the good out of the plant, and aphids leave a really sticky residue. If you've ever turned up a plant, it's got lots of little yellow dots on it, and it's sticky. It's got aphids. Ladybugs eat these. A lot of people in their greenhouse, they will release ladybugs to take care of this. Moths and butterflies. Butterflies are really great at pollinating, but before they're a butterfly, they're a caterpillar, right? So caterpillars, they eat a lot of the foliage of plants. Grasshoppers and crickets, they eat as well. So they can definitely, especially grasshoppers, they can destroy grassy plants. So not all of them are bad. Insects are great at pollinating, and that's how they spread pollen and help plants reproduce. Bees are the best known, but they're not the only one. You've got butterflies and any other flying insect, and those that don't fly, those that just basically touch a plant and then touch another one. Wildlife pests, like we talked about, rabbits, deer, birds, other wildlife, they can eat what's good from your plants. So you want to make sure to control that. It's best through pest management. So that's just smart measures, and that can be fencing, putting net up. You could put a scarecrow up to deter birds. It actually works sometimes. There's some repellents that you can make, poisons, traps. But the best way is just to stay on top of it and put a fence up. Weed pests. Okay, so these are the ones that you would use herbicide for, like Roundup, things like that. You just want to be careful. Don't do it spray it on a windy day, because you don't want to kill your plant, right? Weeds are just simply unwanted plants. So, and if you don't take care of them, they could take over. So you want to make sure you're staying on top of that. Plant diseases of different type are also in pest management. So diseases can be carried by insects or carried in the soil, and they pose a number of risks to plants in the garden and farm. Plant diseases can impact annuals. Remember those, they grow 1 year, or perennials, which come back every year. They infect trees and garden plants. Many plant diseases are preventable or treatable with management techniques. So the takeaway is that a pest is something that's taking away from your plant. It can be an insect, wildlife, disease, or a weed. Best way to get rid of it is to figure out what it is and then research what to use. There are chemicals, but you do not have to use chemicals for all of them. All right, we'll go on to lesson 2.